welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Props of the Week. In this edition of Props of the Week, we got UFC 326, Holloway versus Oliveira 2. And as always, you got me, King of Crackdown, with Pros on Bets, give you our prop for the week. And yeah, let's get to the nitty gritty. So first prop of this week is round 4, not to start in the Holloway versus Oliveira rematch in BML fight. So round 4, not to start. I think it'll be a firefight. Oliveira ain't trying to go too deep into rounds. Like we look at Oliveira, like mostly we look at his, like Oliveira's career as far as if he wins. So this is a prop that's like really kind of based on both guys. So you would like Holloway. Well, Holloway, you might say round 4, maybe round 5, but still, it's kind of like you're trying to get that plus money, but not trying to go too deep through here. But yeah, so trying to get a good angle on that plus money, even though it's very little plus money, it's still plus money. You try to get on that angle. Yeah, Oliveira, like we just look at his career, the majority, especially when he wins, it's like round 3 or less. It's not really round 4, too much. Well, I can't even think of my head when Oliveira winning in round 4. I see the random decisions here and there, but as far as finishes, like round 3 or early, pretty much probably really round 1 or round 2. It's not even much round 3, to be honest. So the fight not to start round 4 at plus 100, I think that's a great value. And also with both guys' durability kind of declining, it seems like this fight kind of more lined up to be a finish in the earlier, well, not early rounds, but at least before the championship round, what I'm saying. So plus 100 for the fight not to see round 4 in the Holloway versus Oliveira rematch for the BMF belt. And then next one, we got Rafael Tobias by sub at plus 150 over DR Ngozi. So this just follows the template of Ngozi's last 2 fights where he's been taken down, and then once it hit the mat, he was relatively easily dispatched once they hit the mat in his last 2 fights, both by submission. So Tobias is a submission grappler. Majority of the fights have ended by submission. He's a bit young, a lot green, but I think it's a fight where he can come out here and have a good performance for the level that he's at. For his debut, make a statement, make a little splash there. Again, for himself, maybe not for the division itself, but for him being like a young guy, sub 25, I think 22, 23 years old. So to go out there beat Ngozi, who's might not be, might be on the decline, might be on the way out, but Ngozi's still a solid name to have on your resume, especially for a guy that's 22 years old. So go out there, follow the template, get him down, probably got a little bit of rough patches. Once he gets him down, settle down, find the submission, get some ground and pound, find the submission. Plus 150, pretty solid prop, I think, in my opinion. Solid value, solid prop. Chasing the most likely outcome as far as if Tobias is the win, and Tobias the most likely winner in that fight. Next one, we got Sumadurgi by decision at plus 100. Again, not much value on this one, but value enough. It's in the plus money, barely. But Sumadurgi decision at plus 100. Just feel like he's the much taller man. I think he has with like 5 inches of reach. I think he like 5'8" or 4 inches of reach. Not reach, but height. He has a foot of reach basically. I think like 0.5, half an inch away from being a foot of reach over Jesus Aguilar, but he has 4 inches of height. I think like 5'8" versus 5'4", and then the reach is I think like 65 or like 63 inch versus like a 72.5 inch or something like that. So yeah, 4 inches of height and nearly a foot of reach over Aguilar, and now that I won't include the leg reach, to be honest. So I think leg reach might even be longer, to be honest, because Aguilar kind of like a little short, stocky body, got a little midget legs, so the leg reach might be even longer than the arm reach, to be honest. So yeah, so he'll have the reach. Jesus Aguilar more so just like looking for a big kind of open shots, like big wide shots, looking to crack you and hurt you and get a club and sub. But Sumadurgi is a much sharper, much more technical striker. Should be there to use that massive reach advantage. Already been a more technical fighter, clearly more technical striker. I'm not saying more technical fighter, but clearly more technical striker. I would say that Aguilar is the more well-rounded fighter because he can strike, he could grapple. But I would say, yeah, better striker, definitely way more technical striker is Sumadurgi. Taking on defense has been improving. And also, Jesus Aguilar is really not a guy that has really great offensive wrestling and doesn't really have the most arsenal of submissions, really the kind of that club and then hop on the guillotine, or maybe some guys getting pressured and then they shoot a takedown and they fall into the guillotine or whatever. But other than that, like the options of the guillotine are very basic. It's not like he has an extensive grappling game with extensive ways to finish you in the grappling. So yeah, I feel like Sumadurgi can address the grappling, get back to his feet, continue to use that massive reach and use that significant gap in technique on the feet, beat him to a decision. So Sumadurgi by decision at plus 100, and also Jesus Aguilar is a tough scrapper, and it's not like Sumadurgi is some consistent finisher. If we've been honest. So decision at plus 100, I think that's a great value. And then last but not least, the most value as far as the props for this week is Durden decision at plus 400. Yes, he's like a bit of a downtrend, but I just don't believe at all in. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't believe in it at all. I think Jimenez Raw has a great chance here. He is the favorite. But the last time out in the UFC, he just had a stinker of a fight. He got taken down at will by Carlos Hernandez. Trying to go for a lot of submissions that weren't ever close to getting even hitting these submissions. He had like one moment I think we hurt Hernandez in the fight. And Hernandez was another guy that's pretty much the same level as Durden, if not lower in level. Another guy with a glass chin or whatever. And he made him look like, somebody said on Twitter, it made him look like calms out your mind for that fight. They were taking down that will, control him. And even at points, I'll strike him in that fight as well. Again, matter of fact, he did everything better than him in that fight. I don't know why I was even a split decision. He had better striking. Again, Jimenez Raw might have had a better moment as far as getting close to a finish in the fight. But consistently, Hernandez outstruck him. Hernandez outfought him. Hernandez outpositioned him. Hernandez outdought him. And out-wrestled him with ease in that fight. So I think Durden is a bigger, better wrestler than Hernandez. And we've seen Durden blanket Charles Johnson. We've seen him blanket guys before. So I still think that blanketing in a low-level flyweight is well within Durden's ability to grind out a decision over a guy like Jimenez Raw. Fight a safe kind of boring fight, but get the win. Take him down, hold him down, and try to coast with if he gets up in the final minute or two and then beat him by decision. So he's underdog. You can maximize the underdog value at plus 400 with a decision. So Durden decision at plus 400. So how do you feel about those props, Pro Smoke?
Oh man, that's incredible, man. Just starting with Max Holloway. We know that Oliveira, fighters make a big mistake backing up in a straight line against him. And we don't have to worry about that with Max Holloway, right? And his geometric boxing, right? So after every pivot, every angle he makes his exit for, I think the only thing left is going to be a potential grappling exchange where I think he'll have to give up the guard, not get into any scrambling with the grappling wizard in Oliveira, and eventually, get back on his feet, fight clean, and just as long as he avoids the club and sub, he'll find his shot and he'll put away Charles, in my opinion. We move to Rafael Tobias, and what's the striker's name? This is a grappler striking affair.
Yeah, Dr. Ngozi.
Yeah, and that guy is going up against Rafael Tobias, who's already about 2.5 inches taller than he is. His reach is about a whole 1.5 inches longer than his. And like you said, man, he does a lot of good work on the canvas. I have no doubt that Tobias could get this done. And if we move on now to Su Madaraji and Jesus Aguilar, Jesus Aguilar's gotta definitely give a run for Su's money here, provided the height and reach advantage, because the man is about 3 inches, 4 inches taller than he is. All right. But if we talk about how the fight plays out, clearly Su doesn't want any tie-ups with Aguilar. Absolutely not. And, because the guillotine pocket is there if you try and bite on the bait that Aguilar offers all his opponents. Provided Su's height and reach, I think that the most important thing is to abuse the reach differential there. Like you said the long jab, the step back counter, he's going to be good to go, man. He's got all that space in a 30-foot octagon. So, what's left, right? And then Cody Durden, man, at plus 400, he had a bad outing. Having moved up to featherweight, right? Did he take that? No, he took the fight at bantamweight, right?
I'm not even sure. I think it's all at flyweight. It might have been a short notice at bantamweight, but I feel like everybody's been fighting.
Man,
everybody's been fighting has been like
he moved really up flyweight.
I don't think he really moved. I think everybody's been fighting has been flyweights. Because even Jimenez Raw, this is another flyweight. So I think everybody's been fighting. I think it's like maybe a short notice. It was at like bantamweight because of short notice. But everybody's been like
could have been right catch weight
but everybody's been losing. We lose like Joshua Van, Okoa. Like Van, we know who Van is. Okoa, at the very least, is a young, talented prospect and great in the striking. So he ain't been losing the scrub, to be honest. And then with 5 way back when. So
and at plus 400, how do we not bet him?
Yeah, exactly. Decision.
Let's get it.
But yeah, so Again, those are the props of the week. Run through them one last time. Round 4 not to start in the Holloway versus Oliveira main event for the BMF belt at plus 100. Tobias sub at plus 150 over Ngozi, who's been submitted in his last 2 fights. Plus 150. Sumaderji decision at plus 100. He'll have a significant striking advantage, and he'll have nearly a foot of reach, and he'll have 4 inches of height advantage over Jesus Aguilar, who's very limited in his striking arsenal. And then last but not least, Durden decision at plus 400. He's going in with a guy who, in my opinion, not UFC level, if we've been honest, in my opinion. Durden might not be UFC level anymore either, but I'm gonna go with the guy at least at one point was UFC level. And hopefully he can show a little spark and show that he still has some UFC level left in him. But 2-minute Raw is not UFC level. Let's just be honest. He's not UFC level. If you get in school like that by Hernandez, you're not UFC level. And that's just a sad, honest truth. But yeah, Durden decision at plus 400. We've seen him blanket guys like Charles Johnson. That was an only fight. Was that guy that went to PFL recently? That British guy.
Yes, his name is Jack Hadley.
Yeah, Jack Hadley. We've seen him Russell Hadley.
Yeah.
So, and I think all these guys are better than 2-minute Raw, sleep medication. Everybody better than him. That he beat a lot of guys better than him than 2-minute Raw. But yeah, those are the props of the week. For UFC 326, Holloway versus Oliveira 2. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.